Good morning, good morning. My name is Matthew Watts, and I want to welcome you today to this demo of Uplevel, where we're going to be talking about what high-performing professional service businesses automate first. Because there is a clear difference between the way that a high-performing and high-earning professional service business functions and other businesses. Yeah, no, Dan, you're right. That was pretty obvious, wasn't it? But I think I know what you mean. A high-performing firm, the people are focused on doing their specific role as opposed to firefighting the different things that come up in a day or spending too much time on administration and just stuck in the weeds. They're just focused specifically on being the business advisor or being the management consultant or being the mortgage broker. And the software and the systems and the processes do a lot of the hard work in terms of the administration and the paper pushing, uh, so that they're focused purely on that customer delivery aspect. And that's kind of what we want to explore today. We want to look at how we can help you achieve less admin and more growth, just by, a smarter way to run your business. So let's jump on in. Oh, but before we do, actually, my promise is that this isn't going to be a sales pitch. This is a practical walkthrough that's designed to show you what's possible, and just give you some ideas to implement in your business that will simplify and scale. If you want to use Uplevel to do that, fantastic. We can have a conversation later. If you don't, fantastic. Crack on with the tools that you've got. And yeah, just implement some of the stuff that we go through here today. So what are we going to cover? We're going to cover why most systems are slowing you down and not helping you to do more, faster, better. We're going to look at the three tasks your business software or your CRM or your tech stack or whatever you want to call the tools that you use should be doing for you. They're just the three essentials. There's a lot more. There's three essentials that it should be doing. And we're going to have a quick walkthrough of Uplevel CRM. Then we'll have a live Q&A. So what I see is that there's three big problems facing professional service businesses, financial advisors, mortgage brokers, accountants, even creatives, graphic designers, web designers, all those kinds of people. One is that they've got information overload. So when they're trying to set up systems and processes and choose the tools to use and the solutions that they need, there's too much information, and that creates confusion and some indecision. And because the confused mind never buys, there's choice paralysis, and so their business progress gets stalled. And just as you decide, yep, this is the way I'm going to go, or that's the tool I'm going to use, or that's the person I'm going to listen to, somebody else turns up with a different idea or a different process or a different tool, and then the process starts all over again. There's a bit of choice paralysis, a bit of confusion and indecision. Nothing gets done. So that's the first problem I see. The second is that the systems or the tools that they're putting together to run their business are inconsistent or they're incomplete. So most professional service businesses create their systems over time. They just bolt on different tools and softwares and platforms kind of as and when they're needed, which creates inefficiency, overlap, and tech clutter. So you're using your different systems probably just for one part of what the whole thing can do. And when that happens, that means that you've got 5 or 6 different things, each doing one particular task, when in fact, this one might be able to do 3 and that one might be able to do 2. And so you could get rid of the rest. So inefficiencies and overlap, that's what I mean by that. Another thing that crops up when you're using multiple tools like that is that they don't always integrate properly. So they don't always connect and talk to each other easily. And that creates friction. You don't want to use the systems because you're worried it's just not going to work anyway. So what started out as being a solution, grabbing these tools and softwares and these pieces of technology to make things easier and smoother and simpler, actually becomes a burden on you and your business. And finally, there's no guidance and there's no structure involved when businesses are putting together their tech stack, for want of a better description, the tools that they're using. So they're just choosing these tools without a clear framework or strategy as to where they're heading in terms of the software that they're using and how it's being deployed within the business. They don't have a blueprint, which means that systems can end up bloated, underutilized, and ineffective. So what do I mean by that? I mean that you have too many tools doing too little things, and so they're ineffective. You could be getting better value for money, better value for the time that you're putting into the systems to build them and patch them all together. And that's why we say bloated, underutilized, and ineffective. And there's no pathway to growth because everything is too time consuming and too confusing, trying to remember which tool does what and where everything goes and how it's meant to work. And that's okay because you're an expert at what you do, not necessarily at systems automations and software. So it's not your fault that everything's kind of been bolted on like this, which is why we just wanted to share today a few things about Uplevel and about how you can use different systems to streamline things and make life easier and simpler and better. Now, because of those three problems, we often see high-performing people, highly skilled and experienced businesses and business owners dropping the ball because the tools don't integrate properly and that creates friction. Leads are falling through the cracks because the systems aren't set up properly and there's no strategy into how they communicate and to what happens once somebody enters your system. Follow-ups are getting missed. Scheduling is constant back and forth over email or phone. And switching from one tool to the next tool to the next tool, logging out and logging in, wastes hours every week. And so there's a better way. It's not about more tools though. It's about having the right tool doing the right thing. So when you get it right, you unlock less admin, more consistency for you, for your leads, for your customers, for your team, more time, more profit, more joy, because you actually enjoy using the systems and you're not as frustrated and confused, and more growth for your business, which is the key thing here, isn't it, really? We're looking for more growth. So that leads me on to the three key tasks that your CRM or your business systems should be doing for you so that you don't have to do them. The first one is smart scheduling. So calls are getting booked without having to exchange telephone calls or emails or SMSs, checking calendars. We want smart scheduling. Automated follow-ups, so you can nurture your leads without having to manually send a text message, send an email, remember when the call is, remember when is it 3 days before, and what am I going to send them to make sure they're in the right frame of mind for buying. And then finally, visual sales pipelines. You should be able to see exactly where your deals stand at any point in time. Okay. So what I'd like to do now is kind of jump in and take a look. And the first thing we're going to look at is smart scheduling. So let me just demonstrate how this might look for you, because smart scheduling is all about just having a calendar. So this is the dashboard of Uplevel. It's just about having a calendar that people can book into. Now this is just a demo account here, so there's actually no appointments booked. But what we're going to do is go to the calendar settings. And you can see that we've got one calendar set up here. Actually, let's go instead to this one. This is my podcasting agency. And so these are the calendars that I have active in that. And this is probably just an easier way to demonstrate what's how they can be used. So we've got the calendar name down the left-hand side here. You can see that I've just given these names that I think are appropriate to the type of conversation that they're going to be. Some of them I've put into a group. Now, groups are a great way to organize your calendars. Think of calendars just as conversations. A great way to organize your calendars. So I've got some in Let's Talk and then some outside. You can very easily see the duration, the type of calendar it is. We have different types. We have a service menu, rooms and equipment. Probably not hugely relevant for professional service firms. Whether or not this calendar is active, when it was last updated, and then a couple of options over here on the right. So if we have a look here, I have in my account, I have these 4 conversations grouped as Let's Talk. And I do that because they're not sales calls. They're catch-up conversations, networking conversations, partnership conversations, can we collaborate? And so I have grouped them all, and this is just a web page. I've grouped them all here like this. So if somebody wants to connect with me, and I use this link every day. Let's say on LinkedIn, for example, I'm having a conversation with someone, and we want to find out if there's a collaboration opportunity, or maybe just catch up because we haven't spoken for a while. Then I'll send this link over, and then they can choose the type of conversation that they want to have. To be honest, most people pick this one, the 45-minute Zoom call, proper conversation. Occasionally, people will pick this one, the quick call. The catch-up call doesn't get chosen that often, to be honest. And the pick my brain is, I'm sure you've experienced it. You'll have someone say, "Oh, can I just talk to you about something for a minute?" And so that's what that one is. But this is a really good way to let people identify the type of conversation they want to have, and then schedule that at a time that's convenient for them. So if we jump here into proper conversation, you can see this just opens up my calendar. They can select the date and time they want. You will have seen things like this before. Calendly is the most commonly used, I suppose. And then they're just going to enter some details. And just their email address. And you can change what's on this page. You can change the questions that you ask, or the information that you need. That's all very, very simple to do. So if this was a sales calendar, for example, then you might have some qualifying questions. What's your income? When did you start your business? What are your goals? Those types of questions. So you can have all of those types of things here. You can have radio buttons or drop downs. There's lots of options. Okay, so then once they've filled that in, we're going to click schedule. And then you can direct people to a different page if you want. This is just what I've chosen for this particular call. It just pops up, gives them some links to add to their calendar. And that's it. And inside Uplevel, they will receive an email confirmation. If I want to, I can then also set up more reminders depending on the type of call. So for a sales call, and I'll show you that in a minute, we might have reminders sending out a video and article and things like that to get people in the right buying mind frame. This is just a casual conversation. So there's just a reminder that a confirmation that it's booked. So that's what these let's talk are. Does that make sense to everybody? Melita? Yeah? Dan? Yeah. I really like it. I think it's a really nice way to let people to invite people to have a conversation with you. You know, and I like putting it on a page because then I can add something like that, and it's not just a calendar. I really like having it on a page. I just feel it makes it more professional. Yeah. No, you don't have to at all. If you wanted to, let's just say that, okay, proper conversation. If I just wanted to share that, so you can grab this link, put it in your emails, put it in a text message, put it in anywhere you like. So if I just open that up, and then it's just the calendar. Yeah, and it functions exactly the same way. Yeah, does that help? Yeah, great. Okay. And that's it. I mean, and they're super easy to set up. I'll just jump into one that's already around so you can kind of see. So this is the wizard. So this is the, you know, it just walks you through all the details that you need to enter. So what is the calendar called? A short description. Is it part of a group or not? So you can see this is in the Let's Talk group. Enter a URL. So when you share it, you can see this is the part that we're choosing. What do we want that to say? There we go. What do you want it to say in their calendar? So what's the title of the calendar event? And then what's the location? So you can see I've made this one custom. This just goes to my Zoom room. If you connect your Zoom or your Google Meet or your Teams, then Uplevel will automatically create a unique event for that meeting. So if I was to go here, so I haven't connected Zoom to this account because for all these calls I just use my vanity URL. But if I could connect Microsoft Teams, Google Meet, and Zoom, and then it's automatically just going to create an event, a unique meeting. You can see we can have it over the phone. We could have people come to the office, or we could give them the choice and just say, where do you want to have the meeting? So completely up to you. And then we're setting the availability. So this is really good. So just when are you available for the calls? You can see I'm available kind of 6:30 to 9 p.m. because I'm currently in Australia and I still need to be available for UK and European time zones. So I've kind of extended my hours a little bit. And then on the right here, you can see we've got some very specific unavailabilities. So let's say on the 21st between 10 and 11:30. That's when I'm available that day because I've got something else on. Or maybe I'm not available at all. So this is really handy for things like Christmas or team meetings. You can just quickly jump in and change the availability for a specific day. You can make these calendars chargeable as well. So it might be, as you saw on this one. So this is a paid for session, paid for conversation, paid for calendar. And you just set that up down here. So accept payments, enter the price, and then a small description there. It might be that you just want to take a deposit. So maybe it's going to be 50% deposit and then 50% after the conversation. So that's a really, really cool feature on the calendars. Like I love it. I think it's great. And here's where you would change the questions that you wanted to ask people. So you would just create a form and then just insert the form. You can see these are all the forms in this account. And that's it. And then the boring bits of, who do we notify? How do we notify people? Do you allow rescheduling? When does rescheduling stop? When does cancellation stop? So I like this as well because it's just one day before the meeting, they can't reschedule or cancel unless they kind of email or call me to do that. And then it just checks the calendars that it's booking into. And then customization. So you can add some images. You can change the colors a little bit just to make it personal. So it's a really, really simple, easy solution to create and really professional and seamless once you start using it and sending it out for people to interact with. It really is very good. So that's the smart scheduling that I wanted to share with you. So the next thing we're going to have a look at is automated follow-up, which kind of follows on from our smart scheduling a little bit because it's going to allow us to demonstrate. I'll just close some of these down. It's going to allow us to demonstrate how you can create automatic follow-ups and reminders for your sales conversations. So from our dashboard, from our menu here, we've just gone down the left-hand side to automation, and you can see that these are the automations that are kind of baked into Uplevel once you get your account. I'll start with the appointment engine, which is just the term that we've given to the follow-ups that we have. So you can see we've got booked call, confirmation, and that sends out reminders. Oh, excuse me. We have what happens if a call is cancelled. What happens if there's no show, and then somebody's booked a proposal call. So if I just jump into this here, you can see in our automations we have a trigger. So in this case, it's somebody's booked a call. We're going to remove them just in case we've been following up with them. We're going to remove the follow-up tag and add a booked call tag. Now a tag is just a label that you put on something just so you can see what's going on and see where in the system it is. So, and they're really easy to control and view. Then we're going to move the call, move the contact into the booked call opportunity. And I'll show you that in a second. That's part of our pipeline. Then there's a little notification here. And then you could add email. And this email is going to say all booked. And then you'll say hi. And if we grab our custom value here, this will personalize the message with their name. Then we can just do this. So I'm going to again grab a little value from our symbol there. And we're going to go into appointment. And we're going to grab the start date and time. Oop, I must have had my cursor in the wrong place there. Okay. And so that's going to give them the start date and time. There's a lot more tags, merge fields that we could use. Sorry, my mind went blank there for a second. So you can see we could include the cancellation link, the reschedule link, where it's going to be, links for them to add it to their calendars. So you can put all of that information into the email really, really easily and simply. It depends what do you want to say in the message. So for example, in this confirmation email, I wouldn't necessarily include the meeting location, but I would definitely have that in a reminder that goes 1 hour before the appointment starts. So you can craft these however you want. Another thing that we like to do is, because we're going to be sending these reminders, we want to make sure that people have all the information they need and are in the right frame of mind to make that purchase when they have that conversation with you. So in this first message, I might send them a link to the brochure or the about page of the particular service that they're interested in. Then I might send them some testimonials the day after that. And then I might send them to an article I'd written that solves the problem or overcomes some objections that they might have during the sales conversation, so that by the time they get to the actual conversation, they've had quite a few questions answered and they're in a really positive frame of mind about how qualified you are and how you can help them and the outcomes that they're going to receive. So it's really good to think about what information you could include to make sure that they're in the right way. Now, if somebody cancels a call, we obviously want to get them rebooked. So the trigger is that they've cancelled the booked call. We add a couple of tags to make sure that we can track where our contacts are. We update our pipeline. We send a notification so you don't show up to the call. And then we've got a couple of emails that just say, hey, I've seen you've cancelled. Be great to have a conversation. Let's talk. I've seen you've cancelled. I know life gets in the way. Here's a link to my calendar. Let's talk. So just trying to stop those leads from falling through the cracks and get them back onto a conversation with you. We have the same thing for no-shows. So if somebody doesn't show up to an appointment, you would just mark that in their contact record really easily and simply, and then that would trigger all of this. And again, we're just trying to encourage them to rebook and have that conversation. It was obviously important to them at one stage, so how can we get them to come back and have a further conversation with us? So by automating these, you don't have to think about it. You can just focus on client delivery and growing your business rather than the administration and of following up and who's cancelled and who's not cancelled and who's shown up. And this simplifies and streamlines all of those things that you know you should be doing but probably aren't doing at this point because they're a manual process. If I jump back here, you can see we've got our lead generation. So if somebody downloads one of our ebooks, then we have some automated follow-ups that go out to deliver the thing and then to get them to move from lead to prospect. So we've set up a lot of different automations to make your life easier, and you can add more, you can change them, you can customize them however you want. If there's a task that you're doing over and over, then it can probably be automated, and Uplevel is a great tool for creating those systems so that you don't have to do it. And then the last thing that I want to talk to you today is the visual pipeline. And so from our dashboard, you can see here we've got all this information. We've got 12 opportunities. We've got 13.5K in our pipeline. We've got a conversion rate of 8.3%. We've got leads in our funnels. So all this information is being pulled from our visual pipeline. So from our menu here on the left, we're going to go down to pipelines. And then each of these cards is called an opportunity. So then opportunities inside our pipelines. And you can see here in our sales pipeline, you can have as many pipelines as you want in your account or as you need. But in our sales pipeline, we have different stages. We've got new leads, cold leads, booked discovery call, no show, cancelled, booked proposal call. And if you remember the automations that we had, they correspond with the different stages. So depending on what a person is doing or how they're interacting with you, the automation controls their movement through the pipeline. So you can drag and drop these. So maybe you spoke to Tanette on LinkedIn and she's booked a call with you, so you can just drag and drop that through there. But if she'd booked it on the calendar, then that would have automatically been moved without you having to do anything. And then the reminder emails would be sent, and the whole system works together to present you with the information without you having to do the work. Okay? You can see at the top here, it tells you how many opportunities are in each stage and the potential value of each stage. So we can see we've got 3 opportunities here, and they're worth £1,000 each. And on the front of the card, you can see that this opportunity, Saniyana, came from LinkedIn and is potentially worth $1,000 or £1,000, and so on. You can see that this one came from networking. So it's a really easy way to look at where your leads are coming from as well, because that information is presented on the front. If you want to know more or you want to interact with this, you just click on it, it opens up. You can see all the information that you have so far. You might want to assign this to somebody. So maybe there's a specific partner in your firm, or maybe an appointment setter or a closer that does the calls or takes the calls, so you can assign them to there. But maybe you want to keep an eye on it so you can then add yourself as a follower. Any tags will be shown in here. So maybe they came from Ben's cool webinar that you held for people. Just going to update that there. So maybe we want to add a call to this opportunity. Maybe we want to add a task. So this could be really good for follow-up, for example. Don't forget to send out the recording of Ben's cool webinar. Maybe you just want to add some notes. Okay, so I spoke to the lead. Feels good. Just for 2 days to over with business partners. So then we'll save that in there. And then whoever comes to this opportunity is going to be able to see exactly what's happened in the past. Okay. And then down here in payments, if they've purchased anything, if you've sent invoices, if you've sent estimates, so maybe they've decided to work with you and so you've sent out the invoice, you'll be able to see once that's paid. And you can even set up an automation based on that payment to then start the onboarding sequence. Welcome, here's how we operate, maybe some videos, whatever you want, however you introduce people to your firm when they become a client. So all the information you could possibly want is available inside your pipeline, and they're really easy to use. Let's say, for example, I've just had a call with Tonette and she's become a client. So what I could do is just drag her over here to closed, or I could pick her up and go down here to 1, or maybe I've lost that. Maybe I haven't heard from this person for weeks and weeks, and so we're going to abandon that. So we would just drag it down to the bottom and do that. But let's mark that person as that opportunity as 1. And maybe Kylie's come back and she's booked a proposal session after she cancelled her last one. So then we're going to move her over there. So super, super easy. to use and to see what's going on. So I just marked Sanjana as a 1 opportunity, and she's disappeared from view. So what I might do is just change the way that we see things. So if I go to advanced filters, this says status is open. So if I close that, now I'm not just looking at the open opportunities. I can also see the opportunities that have been marked as closed because this one was 1. So it depends how you want to look at things. So maybe I just want to see the 1 opportunities. Okay, so we've got 2 here. That's great. So maybe I just want to have a look at the lost opportunities. Maybe I'm going to try and save some of those conversations. Or maybe I'm going to do some follow-up with just the people that we've lost touch with to try not to leave some money on the table there. And so you can change the way that the information is presented to you really, really simply and easily. And based on that, you can then make decisions on how you're going to progress. So I didn't have any abandoned calls, so I don't need to see that, but let's just select all of these. There we go. So I'm going to see all the information at once. If you wanted to create a new pipeline, that's really easy to do. You just come over here. And if you just think of a pipeline like a journey, what's the journey that you want people to go through when they're experiencing something with your firm? So if we think about our sales process, we've got new leads, maybe we've got cold leads from somewhere else, and then they've moved from lead and they've booked a call. And then what are the possibilities after that call? Well, the possibilities are they don't show up, they cancel, or they book a proposal session. And what are the possibilities after that? Well, they closed and they become a client. They don't make a decision, so we need to follow up. Or they're not closed, or they're a bad fit. So that's the journey from stranger through to lead, through to client that stays with you for a long time. So what other ways could you do that? Well, you might use this to map out your onboarding sequence. So this might be signed invoice, signed contract, might be booked initial, welcome meeting. And so you can track the onboarding sequence. We use it internally. We have, when somebody becomes a client with one of our 6 months programs, we have month 1, month 2, month 3, and there are automations set up to move them every 30 days from month 1 to month 2 to month 3 to month 4. And depending on which month they're in, maybe there are some specific things that we want to do with them. Maybe in month 1, we want to schedule a welcome call. Maybe in month 3, we want to send them a request for a Google review. In month 6, we want to book in a next steps call to see, whether they're going to stay with us or whether they're going to move on to something else. So there's lots of different ways that you can apply the pipeline. And no matter what you do, all of that information is going to be available here in your dashboard. So it really simplifies and speeds up how you can get information and how you can see and consume the information about what's going on in your business. So, it's a fantastic tool. So hopefully you can see how you can use your CRM. We use Uplevel CRM to do some of the work for you so that you've got less admin and more growth in your firm. You should be using fewer tools. You should be creating time. You should have better systems, less stress, and increased profit when you're using business software, business tools, business platforms in the right way. And we just think that Uplevel is a smarter way to run your business. These are a couple of people that agree with us. I've said this isn't going to be a pitch. I'm just going to give you some quick information here. So Duncan, he is one of the partners of Profit First UK and runs a company called Ecom Profit Genie. Elizabeth is the marketing manager for Blue Water Accounts, and Kevin at Kevin D Bannister and Inside Accounts. He has a podcast actually. I help him with that he does for kitchen and bathroom installers. So, pretty big companies throughout the UK. And there's some of our users on Uplevel. If you want to get started, uplevelbyoomf.com. Go and have a look. You can create an account and have a free trial there. So are there any questions, any use cases or challenges that you see with Uplevel or with something that you're doing already? No, that's fine, Dan. If you do want to have a chat, just go to that matthewjwatts.com/talk and just book a call with me and we can go through something. But thanks for coming. Melita? No? Okay, great. Well, I hope that's been of some help to you guys. If you do need anything, please just jump on to matthewjwatts.com/talk. I'd love to have a conversation with you about business systems and about Uplevel. But have a great day and enjoy the weekend. Cheers.